What up, internet? Kurt here, geeking out on Breaking Bad. Episode titled Dead Freight, the second badass heist episode this season. My head was about to explode the second that Bill Burr pulled in front of that train. But anyway, let's rewind. Lydia.
Lydia?
They're putting her through the ringer.
Look at me.
Because they think she planted the GPS. They're about to kill her, but then they hear on the bug they play in Hank's office that she didn't do it.
How many barrels you tag?
Oh, and speaking of Hank's office, Marie's not wearing purple. She's wearing yellow. What's that about? Any other Breaking Bad recap, I'd sit here and stew on it. But we got much bigger fish to fry. First fish being a great train robbery. Go! This was nuts. When that other truck pulled up and they have no choice but to let him help, like I was just like, oh. Mike's over there in the bushes, like, what are we gonna do?
We're not done yet!
Jesse's oblivious, Lander's doing his thing, and they just barely pull it off. They're celebrating. I'm celebrating. And boom, that kid shows up from the beginning, and Landry, without missing a beat, pulls a gun out and just shoots him.
No! No!
Doesn't even flinch. Okay, so episode awesome. We know what kind of rating that's gonna get. Duh. But another thing I gotta talk about today, Breaking Bad Insider Podcast. I gotta give big ups to this guy right here for telling me to listen to those podcasts. They're amazing. I listened to the one for this episode and my mind was blown 3 consecutive times. Number 1, they shot on the same stretch as Butch Cassidy Sundance Kid. It's pretty cool. Number 2, these train cars were covered in graffiti, but they had to paint all over them because if they were gonna show it, they would have had to get permission from the people who did the vandalizing because it's their intellectual property. Alright, number 1, number 2, good stuff, right? Nowhere near as awesome as number 3. You may remember at the beginning of this recap when I was like, episode title, Dead Freight. I said that because the original title was going to be Dark Territory, because that's what train people, I guess conductors? Anyway, train people, that's what they call the dead zone of no service when they're driving around the trains. And that's totally what the director was going to name this episode. But he plugged it into IMDb just to make sure it wasn't taken. Sure enough, it was, by what he called Under Siege 3 or something. Turns out to be like a similar plot line, so he changed it. Now me, I hear that and I go, there was no Under Siege 3, okay? But there was a number 2. So I go on IMDb, see the title, okay, so he's talking about number 2. And then I'm like, boy, wouldn't it be nuts if someone from Breaking Bad was in that movie too? So then I'm like scanning the cast list, and then holy hell, there's Jonathan Banks, aka Mike, was totally in the movie.
Someone's been shot.
Where? Here.
Dude is in this movie.
Loco secured.
Not only that, but he's also involved in the same part of the heist as he is in the show.
Now, go, go, go.
The stopping of the train. How random is it that he was in that movie?
We're all clear here.
And the fact that like no one ever made the connection on set. I wonder if he did. He was like, oh man, this story sounds familiar. For some reason, I keep imagining like a really young Katherine Heigl. It's nuts. Oh. All right, ratings. 10 out of 10. Mind blown. I can't handle it.
Guess I'm not trained for this.